Hello! For the STA313 final project demo, our group chose to focus on the correlation between taxes and life satisfaction on a global scale. I'm Kathy, and this is the rest of the team in our group: Tommy, Adrian, and Iris. In this demo, we will show you a dashboard we've created that demonstrates that countries with increased public expenditure values generally display increased indicators of life satisfaction. Our original motivation for this project came from considering the age-old question: does paying higher taxes actually improve your quality of life? Considering that one of the most common complaints from all ranges of people are whether or not they actually should be paying taxes, let's delve into our project to convince you of an unpopular opinion: why taxes can actually be a good thing and why you should actually be happy to pay them. According to the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation survey in multiple countries, respondents agreed that they believe public servants and social benefits are inadequate and hard to reach, despite living in high tax-paying countries. With this in mind, our question becomes, to what extent is this a viable concern for the well-being of the general public? And is it justified that people generally feel this way in high tax-paying countries? We aim to answer this question by delving into data to explore how government spending has an effect on us, the general public living in OECD countries. If people feel that paying higher taxes decouples the benefits they receive, then some aspects of the country's public policymaking may be fundamentally flawed. According to the survey, OECD countries spend more than 1/5 of their GDP on social policies, yet so many people still feel unsupported in times of need. If the gap between social spending and human welfare is so severe, we will be motivated to raise awareness and identify this issue. Therefore, we want to inform and persuade the general public in OECD countries that more spending on social services is correlated with better human welfare. According to the OECD, quality of life is the human welfare measured by social indicators. To indicate this better, we deconstructed quality of life into these key social indicators described in the OECD dataset: Better Life Index, life satisfaction, dwellings without basic facilities, employment rate, quality of support network, educational attainment, self-reported health, and water quality. Since we want to inform the general public on how social spending impacts our well-being, we intend to demonstrate an interactive visualization that is easily interpretable by adults. To make it easier for anyone to access, it is hosted on a web page, as we will demonstrate right now. In this demo, we want the reader to explore the correlation between higher taxes and greater life satisfaction. With data from the OECD, we chose to present our findings in a choropleth map, radar chart, and scatter plot with interactive functions. To give the reader a broad overview of which country has the highest life satisfaction, we placed a choropleth map on life satisfaction directly underneath the title. With this map, the user can observe trends in life satisfaction in different regions of the world, discover the countries with the greatest satisfaction, as well as when the user hovers over each country, it displays a summary of the country's life satisfaction indicator values. Let's take a look at the Nordic countries. When the user hovers over Iceland, they will see all of its corresponding life satisfaction indicator values. While we intend this dashboard as a place for the user to explore our discoveries, we also included additional information to the side to lead the reader along. With this directly writing the top 5 countries, we highlighted that among those countries, high-quality support networks and water quality were essential. While the choropleth map gives a general overview of life satisfaction of various countries, the user can continue to explore other indicators that affect a country's quality of life as well. Beneath the choropleth map, the user can find an interactive radar chart that allows the reader to select and change the country. For example, if the user selects Finland and hovers over the water quality indicator, a window appears that displays that Finnish water quality has a value of 97 out of 100. If the user would like to continue to explore Finland, by clicking on the shaded region of the radar chart, the chart to the right will change to that country. Let's continue to explore what this dashboard has to offer. As the country indicator summary gives an individual overview of each country, the user can see how each country compares to other OECD countries in the graph in the top right corner. The x-axis displays the public expenditure as a percent of GDP for that country as a representation of tax spending on public welfare. The y-axis changes depending on what feature the user is interested in. Using the selection tool in the top right corner, the user can select an indicator to compare to public expenditure. For each smiley face icon represents a different country, and when a user hovers over an individual icon, a pop-up will show which country it represents and the corresponding values depending on the axis. Lastly, the user can click on a specific smiley face icon, and the below table will change to that country of interest. For example, if the user is to select the life satisfaction indicator, they can observe that it is a slight positive correlation between public spending and life satisfaction. This trend can be observed similarly for other indicators. When navigating to the below chart, the user can observe how the selected country compares on each of the life satisfaction indicators to other countries. The x-axis is a ranking from 1 to 33, with 1 being the highest ranking country and 33 being the lowest. The user can change the country of interest using the drop-down menu on the right-hand side, as well as other methods we've mentioned, like clicking on the country in the radar chart or selecting a country's icon in the graph above. When the countries change, the chart will also use its corresponding national flag as a representation of its ranking to aid in visual identification of a country of interest. For example, if we select Canada, we can hover over the Canadian flag icon in the self-reported health row to find that it ranks number 1 out of 33 countries in this indicator. This ends our demo of our life satisfaction and tax spending dashboard. We hope that this provides a guided resource for users that is both user-driven with important trends highlighted that still allows for local exploration by each user. As we began this project, our team focused on taxation, including its different forms and its effects on welfare programs and social equity. Our intended audience was the Canadian government, with the hope that our findings could impact how the government decided to continue to tax its constituents and impact what programs the money is going towards. However, as we continued with design development, we conducted an exercise with the intention to focus on our design on a specific individual person we wanted to address. We decided that addressing a typical working taxpayer would be a more appropriate approach for the problem we were aiming to solve. Our team went through several iterations before arriving at our final design. Our initial research question focused on the correlation between tax revenue as a percent of GDP and various quality of life indicators. As we continued to look into our data, we decided that using social spending as a percent of GDP instead would be more appropriate. Social spending includes government spending on benefits, provision of goods and services, and tax breaks with social purposes targeted at low-income households, the elderly, the disabled, sick, unemployed, and young persons. Comparing this against life satisfaction and its indicators would offer a more direct comparison between social well-being and government spending on a social safety net. Early designs use scatter plots as the sole method of data visualization. Our mock designs focused on one scatter plot that compared various quality of life indicators against tax revenue and giving the user the ability to select which indicator to view. As we continued to develop our design and data analysis, we concluded that we would want to use various types of visualization to allow the viewer more exploratory capability. We wanted the viewer to be able to do the following: get an overview of life satisfaction in all countries, view a summary of a country's quality of life indicators, compare quality of life indicators against social spending for all countries, and view how countries perform compared to each other. This led to a design that incorporated the 4 components demonstrated previously. While we initially shied away from using a choropleth map due to its limitations, including the overemphasis of large areas and hiding small areas, however, for design goal 1, we ultimately decided that a choropleth map was an effective choice to give the viewer an overview of life satisfaction in all countries. For design goal 2, we considered using a bar chart to allow all indicators for a country. We eventually decided on a radar chart to show multidimensional data so that the shape of each chart could be compared from country to country. For design goal 3, we preserved the scatter plot from our initial mock design. We concluded that this was the most perceptually effective way to communicate the indicator versus spending trend we were aiming to show. For design goal 4, we used a rank chart to show where a country ranks for each indicator. Typically, rank charts show all items at once, but since we have upwards of 30 countries in our dataset, we decided to show only the flag the user selected country in order to reduce clutter. To conclude, we demonstrated that higher social spending is correlated with better quality of life in our interactive visualization. Through the use of a radar chart, scatter plot, and choropleth map, we transformed the Better Left datasets into a scientific visualization that shows just how much public spending can put up a social safety net for us all. By iterating on our mock design and by considering our design goals at each step, we present the final product to the general public in OECD countries, a visualization that emphasizes human welfare. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoy exploring our visualization.